If AI can outperform us in knowledge, speed, and even creativity, what does that mean for humanity? We've seen this before. 20 years ago, we raced headfirst into the digital revolution. Social media, it promised to connect us and empower us. And 2 decades on, we see the cost. Rising anxiety, fragmented thought patterns and attention. A generation quietly asking themselves, am I enough? For the past decade, I've worked with young people all around the globe. And most recently, we commissioned some research to be done asking people in Australia, what do they think about AI? Their words: fear, mistrust, job worries, uncertainties. And yet one statistic stood out more than any other. That 1 in 4 believe that AI is better at giving them relationship advice than people. And more than 50% believe that AI will not only erode empathy, but will absolutely have an effect on our emotional intelligence and our human connection. You see, that is the paradox of AI. The more powerful this technology becomes, the more valuable our human qualities truly are. And yet, we must face the reality of access. You see, if you're growing up in a well-resourced area, AI is this powerful accelerator. But if you're in a disadvantaged community where you don't have access to maybe stable internet, where maybe your teachers are overstretched, AI doesn't feel like this huge leap forward. It feels like being left behind all over again. Unless we act, the AI divide will be one of the sharpest iniquities of our generation. So, how do we support and encourage and build the next generation? All of them? Well, earlier this year, we convened a national think tank. We had psychologists, neuroscientists, educators, community leaders in a room where we grappled with this exact question. And together we came up with a number of priorities where teachers would be pivotal in driving this forward. Together we dreamt of a future where our next generation, their mental health, their agency, their voices were protected. We dreamt of a future where our next generation were being prepared for AI-driven work. We dreamt that no child would be left behind due to disadvantage. You see, education is key in driving what it is to be human. Teachers are on the front line, not just shaping cognitive learning, numeracy, literacy skills, but also those soft skills, empathy, heart, emotional intelligence, the very things that make them human. So, we've seen this important thing play out just in the media, just last week. The AFR reported, interestingly enough, that the next wave of AI jobs would be less about technical ability and more about human smarts. They said that empathy, communication, relationship, these things would be incredibly important. In fact, I think they reported, and they genuinely said this. They said the next role, the next wave of these jobs will sit at the intersection of tech fluency and human smarts. So, how do we support every teacher and ensure that every child has access? Well, imagine with me, if you will, if every school in Australia had a dedicated AI navigator to help teachers with knowledge and enhance learning. Imagine if every school in Australia had access to high-speed internet and devices that were easy to maintain for schools in the long term. Imagine if every school in Australia had an AI literacy program, not just for students, but for families as well. This is a journey. We have to pay attention to the little things, the human element, equitable access. We have to focus on the now while scanning the horizon for the future ahead. This is the new reality of our children's future.